Good evening, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your interest in the very important topic that we are going to discuss today. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your effort, for your commitment to support our institution and our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. I am Montse Fuentes, Executive Vice President and Provost, and I have the privilege of overseeing the university's academic enterprise. Please allow me, before I start, to tell you how privileged, how fortunate I feel to be welcomed into the University of Iowa family, to be part of this wonderful community, to be part of a premier public research institution that puts students first. For this institution, our pursuit of academic excellence, excellence in all the different areas of our mission, depends on our ability to be able to recruit a diverse body of faculty, staff, and students, and our success in being able to create a welcoming and inclusive, very inclusive working and learning environment for every single member of our Hawkeye family. We have made great strides, and there's still work ahead of us to continue building and creating that environment that we aspire to. So today, I'm going to share with you some of the progress that we have made in the context of our DI efforts, in particular in relation to the implementation of our action plan. I'll share some of the challenges, and I'm really excited to be able to present some new initiatives. So again, thank you for being part of this conversation. I also want to acknowledge that President Harold is very disappointed that he couldn't join us today. He was very excited and looking forward to it. But he asked me to share with you his great appreciation for all the DEI efforts that are happening here on campus. Before I start, the very first thing I would like to do is to dedicate today's presentation, our DEI annuals update, to Diane Finnerty. Diane passed away on December 29th, 2019, after 25 truly exceptional years of service to this institution. In her last role here at this institution, she was Assistant Provost for Faculty. And in that role, she was the driving force moving forward our DEI action plan and the DEI Digest, a way to be able to keep track of all the DEI initiatives on campus. We miss her. We miss her every day. But her legacy is going to live on through the work that we all are going to continue to do together to help this institution to become a more inclusive, more welcoming place to work and to learn. So today I'm pleased to announce that we are going to be naming an institutional award after her. This is an award to recognize members from our community who had, through DI efforts, made a very significant positive change here at the University of Iowa. Moving forward, this award that was established last year will be the Diane Finnerty Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Legacy Award. And I'm very grateful. I'm grateful to have with us today Diane's partner, Jill Jack. She's here today, and I would like for her to receive, in Diane's name, a recognition, a certificate that we'll be offering today. Please, Jill. Please allow me to stress what I just said. We will continue working together. And today, here, standing up in front of you, as simply the spokesperson for this year's annual update. But every single accomplishment that I'm going to present here today is the work of so many individuals, so many of you faculty, staff, students, committees, task forces, diversity councils, all of them working with a common goal. Likewise, every challenge that we still need to overcome is going to require a campus-wide collaboration. a campus-wide commitment. And that's why I'm so pleased to see so many of you here today. And I hope that you are not just here to learn about our DEI efforts, but that you are here ready to take an active part in helping us to help the university to continue becoming a stronger community. So again, thank you for being here. And the very first thing I would like to do is to recognize and introduce to you DEI leaders across campus who have been very actively involved in the implementation of our action plan. Please, as I call your name, please stand up and remain standing. I would like to start with Bria Marcello. She's I will go through all the names, so maybe we can recognize this wonderful group. I will love Bria. Bria Marcello is the director of the Center for Diversity Resources and Strategic Initiatives. Nadine Petty, she is the executive director of the Center for Diversity and Enrichment. Jennifer Modestu, she is the director of Equal Opportunity and Diversity, and the three of them have done a fantastic job this year helping us to continue moving forward. I would like to also recognize the leaders of a shared governance group that is overseeing the implementation of the action plan. So they are the co-chairs of the Path Forward Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Collaborations Working Group. Cheryl Reardon is our Chief Human Resources Officer, and Julie Sherwitz is the Dean of Nursing at the College of Nursing. They both are co-chairing this committee, and I also want to acknowledge Bria again. Bria Marcello is part of this committee, and she is the campus-wide coordinator of our DEI implementation plan. I also want to recognize, there are more. Kevin Kergo, Executive Vice Provost and Associate Provost for faculty. He has been overseeing the DEI efforts for faculty across campus, and Sarah Hansen in the Provost Office leading our DEI strategic initiative. Now, let's please recognize all of them. We appreciate their commitment to make sure that we move forward with a very successful implementation of our DEI action plan. I also want to recognize our diversity council. So we have 6 diversity councils for African American, Native American, Latinx, status of women, diversity awareness, and LGBTQ. And I'm very pleased to announce a new diversity council, the Pan-Asian Diversity Council. So before we start the conversation about the implementation of the action plan, I would like to put a little bit of context to our conversation. So as an institution, we have embraced right now a paradigm shift. What that means is that we have a commitment to move, it's a change from diversity to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's really much more than adding 2 words. This is a change of thinking, a change of approaches. What this means is that we stop seeing diversity just simply as compliance. We need compliance, but we need much more. We need to make sure we see diversity as critical to our core mission as an institution. It also means that we stop seeing diversity also as somebody else's responsibility, that we all have accountability, that we all need to be playing an active role in creating a more inclusive, equitable campus community. It means that we move from just responding, reacting to challenges, that we take proactive approaches in setting guidelines, strategies, initiatives. It also means that we use data to guide us as we determine a path for the future strategies. And it means that it's more than just recruitment. This is about retention and advancement. So if we look at the development over the last 2 years, and this is what it has brought us to where we are right now. So in the fall of 2017, we had our charter diversity committee. It started the process of the development of campus climate survey. That survey was administered early in 2018, and during the entire year in 2018, the Provost office, again, under Diane Finnerty's leadership, along with our Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, and many other groups on campus, the work has started to develop our action plan, DEI action plan, as well as the DEI digest. All that was disseminated in the spring 2019, in April. It was the climate survey, the outcome, the DEI digest, and the DEI action plan. Right now, we are in the process of continuing to collect data. So again, we can understand where we are, the progress that we have made, and it can guide us as we move forward. The climate survey will be administered to the campus community fall 2020. So what this means is that over the last 9 months, we have been guided by our action plan, our DEI action plan. So allow me to highlight the 3 main themes of our action plan. And the first is that this is about actionable data. We collect data that can help us to make informed decisions and can help us to set strategic initiatives. So with that in mind, again, we are in the process of moving forward with a new climate survey. We have formed a DEI data task force that is guiding us, is helping us to align the different climate surveys that we have on campus for faculty, staff, and students. And we have been providing data to the colleges and the central units this past fall, data that can guide in, as they said, the strategic priorities. The second theme is that this is about inclusive governance that can help us in the administration of our action plan. With that in mind, we have a shared governance group, Path Forward, and I have introduced already the 2 co-chairs of our DEI working group. We have also charged different departments and individuals on campus to share that accountability. We are sharing with you the progress that we are making. We'll continue sharing that progress monthly starting in February. And maybe the last theme is that this is about accountability and offering support and expectations for our leaders across campus. With that in mind, there is training that is being getting in place right now for our senior leaders. Through the Big Ten, the provost of the 14 institutions have agreed to provide funding, so we're moving forward with training for the new deans. This will start in January 2021, and there will be a focus in particular on DEI. We have included DEI as part of the competences for evaluation of our staff. So when we look at our action plan, this is 33 pages, 4 goals, 116 critical tasks. So I'm not going to go through all of them today, but we do have for you a summary of where exactly we are with each one of the critical tasks. What I can tell you is that we have already completed, or we're working on more than half of the critical tasks. So some of the highlights. So if we look at goal number 1, so again, this is just more than the concept of diversity. We are going through the paradigm shift. So the goal number 1 is about the creations, being able to sustain an inclusive and equitable campus environment. And again, more than half of the tasks under this goal have been already completed or they are in progress. For instance, again, I'm going to just highlight a few of them. We already completed the review of the student disability services as well as the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We have been working on having information more available about accessibility across campus. We are again planning the training of campus leaders, and through the DEI digest, we'll be working on having more consistency in the context of the internal and external messaging. When we look at goal 2, this is about the recruitment, the retention, and advancement of our faculty, staff, and students. So I have already shared with you having more DEI competences, in particular as part of the talent acquisition processes. We are doing the same thing with faculty searches. We're in the process of introducing DEI as part of the faculty searches. One area of critical interest, and you'll see the data in a minute, is the retention of underrepresented minority faculty for our tenure, in our tenure population, and we'll be moving forward with some forums, dialogues, conversations, so we have a better understanding of how we can support these faculty members. And we're still working on forming some more committees that can help us too with the recruitment of undergraduate students. Goal 3, this is potentially the one that we have made the least progress. So this is about introducing diversity, equity, and inclusion as part of our teaching, research, and service. So there is already some work done in introducing some new credit courses that promote certain competences, in particular in the context of international scholarship. We are also in the process of introducing DI expectations for our instructors as part of the evaluation, as well as part of the training that can lead to more inclusive classrooms. We have not taken any action yet in setting in place a diversity scholars network, similarly to what they have at the University of Michigan. However, I'm pleased to announce that I will have the Chief Diversity Officer from the University of Michigan coming here in March, and he'll be talking about these initiatives and of the things that could have been done differently, sharing his experiences so that can guide us as we move forward. With regard to goal number 4, it's about accountability in the context of enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and make sure that we move forward in an effective manner. So with that in mind, we have provided DI data, again, to the central units, colleges that can guide them as they move forward with the development of the strategic priorities, and we have set an expectation requiring DI goals, strategies, and metrics as part of the new strategic plan for the university. We are also in the conversations about adding new racial ethnic groups, in particular one that will recognize Middle Eastern or North African members of our community, and that can help us to enhance the support for those groups. We are also still working in having more centralized effort to be able to continue providing data that can help the assessment and evaluation of different programs. So what I'm presenting next, this is a simple graph, but I think it's a very good illustration of our strategic planning at the University of Iowa. And what this is telling us is that as we move forward, trying to continue enhancing and bringing more distinction to this university, we need the integration of our core missions as institution. It is only when DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, meets student success, research, and engagement, that's what it can take us to greater distinction and excellence. And that's really the focus of our current strategic planning efforts. But let's start by taking a look at the data following the guidance of our strategic plan. That is why it should guide us as we move forward in setting our strategic priorities. So I would like to start taking a look here at our first year undergraduate enrollment rates. So what we see is that in the context of where we are right now in relation to last year, so there's an increase of about 200. So again, this is first year undergraduate students. So we are 4,986. That increase has been primarily out-of-state students. What I would like to point out when we look at how things have changed over time, the most maybe remarkable trend here is in the context of our international enrollment. So this year we are at 120. We look 5 years ago, it was over 600. So this is something that we are working on as we move forward to continue establishing partnerships that can help us to continue bringing more of that presence to campus. I would like to look also at the presence that we have from different groups. So I'm going to show you here our federal Pell recipients, our first-generation students. So we define first-generation student as a student who does not have parents or legal guardians who completed a 4-year degree. And then underrepresented minorities. At this institution, we define underrepresented minorities as those racial ethnic groups that typically are underrepresented in higher ed. They are African American, Latinx, Native American, or Pacific Islander, and 2 or more races. So when we look at what has happened over time with those groups in the context of the enrollment, here we have the percentages. What is quite remarkable is we look at this year, in particular in relation to last year, we have seen a very significant increase in the number and the percentages of our underrepresented minorities. So those groups, all the different categories have increased, particularly the Latinx, that's the largest one that we have. If we look also at the Pell recipients, that has also increased slightly to be about 16% now. And when we look at our first generation, that group was 21% last year, and we are at 22% right now. So it's good to see the great diversity. We celebrate bringing great diversity in our student population to campus, but we want to focus on their success. We want to make sure that we offer a world-class education to these students and we help them to make timely progress towards their degree. So when we look at student success, one of the most important metrics here is to look at the retention. The way we define here retention accordingly to our borough region, so here we are looking at the students who have matriculated, who are enrolled in the fall of the second year. That's an important metric to evaluate, again, our ability to help our students to get education that they deserve. And also it's important in the context of our rankings as institutions. So where we are, and this is data that we have not presented before, we are right now in the process of getting in place all the data for this year. So everything I'm going to present here includes data for this year. So I include here the 2018 cohort, which is the last one that we have. So what we see here is in the context of the overall student population, our undergrads, our retention rates are 86%, so we have not been able to improve that in relation to previous years. And where we are also in relation to our peers, this is low for this type of institution, our peers will be more about 93%. When we look at the different groups where we are with the Pell recipients or our underrepresented minorities, it's good to see an improvement in the context of the trend. When we look at retention rates, so in both cases we are about 80%. What is quite remarkable and problematic is that when we look at our first generation students, what we see is a continuous decrease in our ability to be able to retain those students. Even yes, this year, in relation to last year, it decreased from 78% to 76%. This is a 10% difference for these students. And I do want to point out that in looking again at the data, the students, our first-year students, they arrive here with the same pre-college achievements as their peers. So this is certainly an area where we have to take an active action as we move forward. When we look at the graduation, the 4-year graduation rate, so for the overall undergraduate student population, so right now, we're about 55%, which is nice. This is for the last cohort, 2015, is a good improvement with regard to the previous cohort. Things are moving in the right trajectory, but again, the trend is not moving in the right direction when we look at these groups. In particular here, we have all of them about 46%, a very significant gap. So I'm very pleased to announce that we're moving forward with an action in particular to address one of the most significant concerns here with our first generation students. So we are starting now, we are launching our program, our Hawkeye First Generation Initiative. So the purpose of this program is to focus on the sense of belonging, retention, and our ability to help those students to earn their degree in 4 years. Those students arrive here again with the same type of accomplishments as their peers, but they don't have the benefit of the family experience. So those students tend to encounter maybe more difficulty in developing that sense of belonging or maybe being able to get the support that they need. So with this program, what we're gonna do is to focus on the mentoring, academic engagement, and connections. And that connection is not going to be just with the students, but with their families. Early on in June, we'll start developing that type of connection that will continue to have their families becoming part of our student support group. The students will go through training over the summer where we'll get them in contact with peer mentors that will continue with faculty mentoring, and we'll have them having access to opportunities for more of that academic engagement, in particular through high impact practices, through research, campus employment with mentors, and service learning opportunities. That will not only make them more marketable, but that will help to develop the engagement, the academic engagement. The plan is that we'll continue assessing the success of this program as we continue scaling up. We'll start with a random group of 200 students this summer. We also want to focus on the retention, as I said, but also the recruitment. I just want to highlight 6 weeks free training that we offer during the summer to college students. This is the context of introducing them to the health sciences, healthcare, health professions. So this is our summer health professions education program, and with the goal of being able to increase the recruitment of underrepresented students. We bring about 80 students every summer, and I'm very pleased to announce a new position in the Carver College of Medicine, Nicole Del Castillo, who is helping with the recruitment and the retention of underrepresented students. So let's take a look now at our veteran students. So here when we look at the enrollment, so we have seen it's a slight increase over time. So here we have the trends in the context of the enrollment for undergrad, grad students, and professionals. So where we are right now is about 600, and the majority of them are undergrads, about 400. And we have seen an increase in the graduate enrollment. However, we have seen a slight decrease in the enrollment of professionals. When we look at that, our student veterans, we want to keep in mind that in the context of our ability to be able to retain and graduate in time, there are other circumstances that are beyond the institutional control, and in this particular case tends to be deployment. So we do tend to see lower retention rates, but when we look at where we are in the context of retention rates, it seems that over the last, in particular, 3 years, we have seen a decrease. So this is something that we really want to, as we move forward, to continue enhancing the support for our veteran students. When we look at the graduation rates, it's very positive to see that the 4-year graduation rates for our student veterans is very much aligned with the overall undergraduate student population. However, if you look back for the cohort of 2011, the graduation rates, they were remarkably low at that point. But again, that was aligned too with a significant amount of deployment to Afghanistan that happened at that time. With the purpose of continue enhancing the support, the commitment for our student veterans and military affiliated students, we are gonna be moving this office right now, we call it MVSS, Military and Veteran Student Services, that is under the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, located in the 3rd floor of the University Capitol Center. We are going to be moving the physical location as well as the affiliation to be able to enhance the support by bringing this unit with the Veteran Education Transition Services, another unit to offer support to these students under the Office of Registrar. Both of them will be together, and the new unit will evolve into a new unit that we'll call Iowa Veteran Education Transition and Support Unit. We'll also be finding accommodations for better space that is more accessible. The current location for MVSS is the 3rd floor without elevator, very narrow halls. So they both will be moving together into Calvin Hall. We'll be working on some renovation, and we expect the move to happen certainly by the fall of 2020. Let's look at our students with disabilities. So what we see here is also an increase in the context of the enrollment. Students with disabilities, if we look at where we are now in relation to 6 years ago, it has almost doubled. We are about 30. The majority right now, the majority of these students have learning disabilities, but what we have seen lately is also a continuous increase in the number of students, in particular with depression, anxiety, mental health. So right now it's 364, and as you can see, a trend that has been. So when we look at the retention and also at the retention rates for these students, so typically the retention rates have been higher than the race population. Again, this is the first year cohort students. What we have seen, however, so at some point, 5 years ago, the retention rates is what I would aspire this institution to have for the overall student population, about 93%. But where we are right now is about the same as for the overall population. We have seen a significant decrease over the last few years. When we look at the graduation rate, so this is four-year graduation rates, and in many cases maybe this is not the best metric because our commitment is to make accommodations so these students would take the time that would be needed. However, so they are lower, the four-year graduation rates. However, what we have seen also too over the last 3 years a decrease, so right now it's about 46%. So as we move forward again to continue enhancing the support for our students with disabilities in response to a report of our Student for Disability Services office that happened in the fall 2019, as well as the feedback coming from the campus community. We are finding a new physical space for those students, so they will be moving from the current location, the basement of one of the resident halls. They're going to be moving to UCC, the first floor, across Panera. The space is over 5,600 square feet, and it's under renovation. We want to make sure we set all the accommodations in place to ensure that this is accessible and meets expectations. And that will be ready fall 2020. On parallel, we'll continue working on making sure that we increase the academic support for the students. Another area too where we are having ongoing conversations is support for our cultural houses, cultural centers, and there are some conversations on how to enhance the space and how to be able, through potentially a cultural corridor, to continue expanding the programming. But I'm also very pleased to see already some of the programming in place with new affinity graduation ceremonies and many more cultural events too happening during homecoming. So I do appreciate the great initiative that our students are bringing to, again, to make sure that we promote inclusion on campus. Our American Talent Initiative is also a very successful program helping us with low-income, high-ability students. We offer financial support and coaching. Iowa Edge is also a very successful program helping with the social adjustment for a lot of the students coming from different backgrounds. And I have already shared with you our Hawkeye First Generation initiative. When we look at our professional and graduate students, so we have seen an increase in the total number of students. Primarily, the increase has been in the masters. So over time, the numbers have been increasing. So where we are right now is about 3,000 master students. We have also seen an increase in the professional students, 2,331 right now. Where we have seen a significant decrease, also a continuous decreasing trend over time, over the last 6 years, is for our PhD students, from 2,200 to 1,890. The reason why this is very problematic to see this trend, ongoing decreasing trend, this is part of our identity. We are a research one institution. We are also a member of the Association of American Universities. We are a leading research university, and the PhDs play a critical role in our status as Research One, as member of the AAU. What is good to see, though, is that when we look at the numbers of underrepresented students across these different groups, we have seen an increase across the board, going from about 8.5% back in 2014, so we are right now at 11.5% underrepresented minorities, as I say, across the board in these different groups. When we see the decrease in the PhD enrollment, that's very aligned with what is happening with our tenure track faculty. Also, over time, over the last few years, we have seen a continuous decrease in the numbers of our tenure track. However, we have seen an increase in the numbers of the overall faculty population, being close to 3,000, and with the tenure track right now, we're under 1,500. Again, that's problematic in the context of the enhancement of our research mission and the mentoring of our PhD students. When we look at the underrepresented minorities within the different faculty tracks, so we have our tenure track, but then we also have non-tenure tracks. Within the non-tenure tracks, we have clinical, instructional, research, depending on the different responsibilities of those faculty members. What has happened is that the numbers in all the different tracks except for the tenure track, the numbers have increased, the number of faculty. The number of underrepresented minorities have also increased in all the different tracks, as well as the percentages. What we observe within the tenure track, so if we go back to 2015, at that point, we have 114 underrepresented minorities within the tenure track, and right now we have 112. So we have not been able to increase the underrepresented minorities within the tenure track. We want to look at not just the recruitment, but again, the retention. So if we look at what's happening in the context of our faculty, the resignations within the tenure track. So here not including retirement, so this is individuals who voluntarily leave a tenure track position. So over time, our retention rates or resignations within the tenure track have been, over 2%, 2-3%. So where we are right now is 2.1%. That's not necessarily too far from where our peers would be, about 2%. When we look at the underrepresented minorities, so within the tenure track, underrepresented minorities, the resignations, the percentage of resignations, right now they are at 3.6%. At some point they were 6%. So if you look at the representation, so our underrepresented minorities, they represent, it's usually about 7%. So it's right now 7.5% of our tenure track. Within the resignations that we receive in the tenure track, the percentage that is coming from underrepresented minorities is 12.5%. Now at some point, 14%. So while these numbers are small, still they clearly show that we have a disproportionately large number of resignations coming from our underrepresented minority faculty. So again, a priority for the university, for this research institution, will be to continue increasing, enhancing support for our tenure track, and in particular having more representation, more diversity in our tenure track. When we look at where we are with our staff, so I'm looking here separately, the merit staff and the PNS, professional and scientific staff. So it's good to see the increase. Overall, if we go back to 2015, so we have seen an increase in the overall staff population in the context of PNS from 2015 to now, we have seen an increase of 1,707. What is good to see is that we have also increased the number of underrepresented minorities and the percentages, either within the PNS as well as the merit. However, the representation is quite different within the merit. The underrepresented minorities is 14.9%. Within the PNS right now is 5.1%. But what is positive is to see the increase over time. So in response to what we are seeing here as one of the critical priorities moving forward is to be able to gain a lot of, to gain better representation of different backgrounds, experiences in our tenure track faculty, as well as increasing our tenure track. So with that in mind, we are launching now a program that can help us to bring more diversity to our tenure track faculty. The purpose of this program is the training. So this is a postdoctoral faculty fellowship training. So what we will be doing is training our future faculty. So the training will be in all the different aspects and responsibilities that is expected from faculty, with a focus again of mentoring, by helping them to become successful teachers and scholars. And these will be combined with a faculty line, a tenure track line. So we are now in the process of receiving applications, so we'll have the first cohort in place in fall 2020. I would encourage you to help us with the recruitment. I would like to point out that the same concept that we have it with the staff, along the same lines, we have the Staff Diversity Opportunity Program. The goal is to increase the diversity in our PNS staff, and this is an opportunity for the development of staff members that could potentially be able to get a PNS staff position. In the context of being able to through our recruitment efforts to bring more diversity to our faculty. We are right now enhancing DEI training and incorporating that as part of faculty searches, so this is ongoing. We will conduct through a Path for Distinction initiative. We'll be evaluating the success of this program at the end of this academic year with the goal of being able to scale this up and start integrating all these DEI expectations as part of our faculty searches, with the purpose of continue building a culture of appreciation. We can celebrate the great talent that we have here at this institution. One of the areas that we already have seen is the retention in the context of our tenure track faculty. So we'll be launching this spring an opportunity to celebrate, to recognize our great talent. So this is a University of Iowa Distinguished Professorship to celebrate our great scholars as a powerful tool to continue retaining our great talent or be able to recruit some new more. In the context to continue with the recruitment of underrepresented minority faculty, with a collaboration we have in place with athletics, the Provost office, and the Division of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, we have funds that can help us to continue bringing more underrepresented minority faculty to campus. This Distinction Through Diversity program has been already very successful. Yes, over the last few months, that program has helped us to retain 2 faculty members. We have been able to recruit 4 underrepresented minority faculty members, and we have already presented 3 offers right now. So this has been very successful. We also have dual academic career funding that can help to offer supports to recruit tenure track faculty when that's contingent upon employment of a spouse or partner. As part of the strategic plan, beyond, again, the recruitment, the retention, we want to focus on the advancement and certainly training to make sure that we all work together on building that very inclusive campus community. So there is an training planning right now that we hope to be launching too by the end of this academic year, but with the goal of being able to promote a more inclusive classroom. So this is an initiative that is being led by the Center for Teaching in collaboration with our Division for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. There is also some training in place. It's a collaboration of our Faculty Senate with the DDI, Division for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, with the same goal to be able to help develop those DEI competencies for our instructors so that can help us, again, to promote a welcoming classroom environment. Training also for the faculty searches with implicit biases, as well as campus-wide. We would like this is being developed by DDI too, with the goal of making this available to the entire campus community. Our Office of Strategic Communications, again, this is very aligned with expectations of our action plan. We'll be launching this spring different guidelines, resources, guides that can help us to make sure that we continue promoting inclusive messaging and marketing across campus. It's great to celebrate and to see all across campus new positions and new leaders that are helping us to continue promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm really incredibly excited to be able to present to you 5 relatively new positions across different offices on campus with the same goal. So we have Broderick Beans in athletics, Maria Guadalupe Bruno in student life, Nicole del Castillo, Carver College of Medicine, Sarah Hansen, Provost Office, Elizabeth Lara in the Graduate College, all positions to lead DEI initiatives. In the context of where we are, again, with the training and accountability, I already mentioned it, the training that we have, we are in the process of developing for our senior leaders on campus through the Big Ten, the New Dean Initiative. We have also started in the Provost Office some training for our department chairs, and we have the supervisor training through HR. I'm pleased to announce that we will have in March the senior chief diversity officers of the 14 institutions and our Big Ten Academic Alliance. They will be here to interact with the campus community, to share with you their own experiences at the different institutions. And then I'll have Dr. Robert Sellers, the Chief Diversity Officer at University of Michigan, discussing with us beyond the Diversity Scholars Network. He will be talking to us about the infrastructure they have built at the University of Michigan. They have created some new positions all across the different academic units, the academic diversity officers, and that program will be also shared with the campus community. Following that, in April, we'll be launching our search for the new Associate Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The search committee will be announced at that point, and we'll be conducting forums across campus. We'll be working with Isaacson Miller as the search firm, and we'll make sure that we bring opportunities for the entire campus community to be engaged, to provide feedback, to make sure that we move forward with a very successful search. So there is a lot that has been happening on campus. It's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done, but seeing the passion and the commitment that we all share, that certainly gives me tremendous confidence for our future. So with this, I conclude the presentation. I would like to let you know that the DI leaders, all here with me, previously introduced, as well as myself, will be now available to engage with you in a dialogue during our reception to make sure that we take your questions and we discuss any type of DI topic that you may be interested in. I want to thank all of you, again, for what you do every day, for being here, but most importantly, I want to ask you to please take an active part to help us continue creating that diverse, equitable, inclusive, campus-wide community environment that we all aspire to. Thank you.